everyone, we're going to go over an introduction to ethics from the textbook. So this is chapter 2.1 from your textbook. The textbook should look something like this. All right, so make sure that you have the right textbook. That is the 7th edition that I just showed you. If you have the 8th or the 6th, it will look different on the cover, but both of those editions are fine. So this is chapter 2.1, and we're going to go over an introduction to ethics, what ethics is, as well as what ethical theories are. So first up, let's look at this poem that the book actually mentions and about how we approach society. So no man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if the promontory were, as well as if the manner of thine friends or of thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls, as it tolls for thee. This is by John Donne. It's a meditation. So this poem is really getting at the heart of the fact that we as people live in a society, live in a community that gives back to us as much as we give to it. And any diminishment to that society or to that community impacts us and is a diminishment to ourselves as well. So what this is really getting at is that we do not live in isolation. We live as part of each other, we live with each other, and we have a responsibility to that community that we are a part of. This is really important to keep in mind as we move forward, because what ethics is really the analysis of how our behavior, our choices, and the choices of others impact those around us, whether that's for the good, for their betterment, for the betterment of us all, or if it's to the detriment of us all. So everyone shares certain core values in a particular community. Now these values can vary by community, and I'm sure that the core values that you grew up with in the community that you grew up with might vary a little bit from the values that you're seeing here now at college, or those of friends that you have met here, or who live in different communities than you do. It's also possible that these core values are different not only from people that you met here and people who live in Tennessee, but also people who live on the other side of the world. These core values change, and while we might see them as common sense in some ways, they're not necessarily common sense for everybody. And when you go somewhere else and the core values are different, it can be a bit jarring to know how to behave and how to act and what's considered right and wrong. There's also two points of view that we're interested in here. There's a selfish point of view, which is where we think about ourselves, how we feel, and what's going on with us, and we're only prioritizing this one perspective of behavior. And an ethical point of view tries to look at how we behave as part of a larger whole, as well as how those actions impact others. Now, an ethical point of view doesn't mean that we're not also selfish, but it does mean that we're looking at it and analyzing it with a little bit more thought than just, I'm going to do what I want to do. And also, when we're looking at things with an ethical point of view, there are differences of opinion still. It's not like everyone who looks at things with an ethical point of view look at everything in the same way. And this is where ethical theories come in, but we'll talk about that a little bit more toward the end of the video. So let's define some terms. First up is society. So what is society? What do I mean when I say society? What do I mean when I say a community? Society is an association of people organized under a system of rules, and these rules advance the good of members over time. At least that's their intention. Whether or not the rules actually do that is up for debate, but that's the intention of the rules that society forms, that the group of people come together with. So we have a society, with this definition, we have a society at the university. We have specific rules in place that are meant to be for the good of all the members. We have a society in our local government, so with the city of Cookeville, and with the larger district that we're a part of Putnam County. And then we also have one with Tennessee, and then the federal level of community and society that we have has yet another set of rules. Now these rules are different for each level, and they also represent different values that we hold at different levels, what we think everybody on a broad should do and what we think people should do more locally and with our specific organization. There's also this term morality, which we'll be seeing a lot. Morality is a society's rule of conduct. All right, so a society's rules of conduct is morality, what people ought and ought not to do in various situations. These are going to vary from society to society, and the way that they vary and their reasons for varying could be ethical or not. Ethics is the rational examination of that morality and the evaluation of people's behavior within those moral systems. So let's move on and talking about why we want to study ethics, why we want to look at this examination of morality at all. Why does it matter? So we care about ethics because it's a framework for decision making, a framework for analyzing new problems from novel technology, and it helps us to identify when we lack common wisdom for these new technologies, exactly how we should approach them and what rules we should make when new technologies arise. Ethical theories help us do this. There's different theories that prioritize different values, although some of these theories aren't exactly useful. So how do we determine when an ethical theory is useful? Well, theories are developed by philosophers usually, and many of these philosophers have different core values and different ideas about what it means to be ethical, to be moral. So useful theories allow us to examine moral problems and reach conclusions and defend those conclusions in front of an audience. So we should be able to ask a moral dilemma, and we'll go over what a moral dilemma is in another video, but we should be able to ask a moral dilemma and then we should be able to answer it and come to a concrete answer about what we should do. Now, some ethical theories don't allow us to do this, and we'll go over what some of those are actually later in this video series, and so make sure you're following up on those. Now, the next videos that you're going to watch are not actually produced by me. They're videos that I found on YouTube that are produced much better than what I can do and actually go over the theories that we're going to talk about very thoroughly. So we're going to talk about relativism, divine command theory, we're going to talk about ethical egoism, and I think there's one more, can't quite remember what it's called, but make sure you watch the next videos and that should be it.